Mendas waits, and Johnson scores! Masaba's in the middle, Wednesday here could seal it, Casimir finds Masaba!
Now Bannon with a great ball in, here's an opportunity, Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday!
Not going to lie, I had to think long and hard and really scrape the barrel to find something this week to talk about. Don't be daft. Who am I kidding? We're an absolute basket case, and this week has been no different. Although maybe, just maybe, there might be some sort of breakthrough, some light at the end of the tunnel. Who knows? Hello and welcome to Wednesday Till I Die podcast. I'm James Mappin. Alongside me, as he always is Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt, how's things? All right?
Yeah, not too bad, James. Not too bad. We were saying just before we came on stream, I am sat in my conservatory and it's just started chucking it down here. So I am kind of debating whether or not we're going to have to do a midstream move somewhere. But yeah, at the moment, all good.
Where's all that good weather gone? I was absolutely sweating my bollocks off yesterday. Now it's like pissing it down, you know. Good old English summer. Is that it? Summer's over, is it?
Yeah, clearly. That's it. You've had your week.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, I've been doing some good old parenting. Took the kids strawberry picking, and then spent 14 quid on things that'll be thrown in the bin in a few days' time, no doubt. £4 something for a kilo. So what's that? I've bought 3.5 kilos worth of strawberries.
What are you going to do with them all?
No idea, mate. I've had far too many strawberries. I think there's probably, I don't know if something happens to you if you've eaten too many strawberries. Maybe someone can tell me, but no. Anyway, East Hill Farm Tickle, if anyone's wondering. Great place to take the kids. Anyway, there's loads to talk about, so much to discuss and unpack. We've had a 3-window transfer fee ban. That was Monday, by the way. I mean, how long has this week been? Like, I thought that was about 4 weeks ago, but no, that was definitely Monday. Then we found out about there being a £7,000 limit a week on wages that certainly whilst we're under the embargo. Owls in the Park got cancelled. North stands on its last legs. I mean, we knew that already, but there has been a SAG meeting this week or last week. Milan Mandaric, she's got wheeled out to save the day once again with an interview on Radio Sheffield. And then today, the news that the Florida-based US Consortium is speaking with the law firm that represents the Chansiri family. I mean, literally every day was something else. I think there was just Saturday when nothing happened, but other than that, it was literally every single day. I mean, yeah, it's not been a quiet week, has it, Matt?
No, it's never a quiet week in the world of Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, and it's only about to get more busy as well, James, with tax bills and players' wages due this week, and yeah, it's
well, the players were due back this week, but that's been postponed, hasn't it, by another week? As well, not officially, but it's from what we've heard. So clearly, there's lots of other news to fill this week or something. Anyway, just as an aside, I think the consortium needs to come up with some sort of name, because Florida-based US Consortium is getting a little bit of a mouthful, to be fair. So answers on a postcard or in the comments, they'll do, as to kind of what the consortium should be calling themselves. But yeah, as I've just said, do get in the comments if you're watching it live. YouTube. Do subscribe as well if you're on YouTube, because I've looked the other day and only 25% of you that watch these videos are actually subscribed. So you know what to do. Press that subscribe button. Get us to 3K, I think, is the next milestone. Okay. Another kind of plea as well, before we do all that, you've probably seen on the socials as well, the Football Content Awards 2025, the nominations are now open. So if you have enjoyed the content that we've been putting out, I mean, I know that's been a bit of a dull and upsetting, depressing subject that we've been talking about for the past however many weeks. But if you are enjoying what we're doing, do nominate us. There's a link over on our X profile. I think the link's in the description if you're watching it on YouTube as well. It takes you to a Google form. Really, really simple. Just vote for us for the best podcast in the Football League and best content creator, in the Football League as well. And Matt, I don't think we've even celebrated you being on the pod for a full year, because I looked the other day and I was like, what were we doing last year? And obviously, it was the World Cup and talking about England winning their first group stage, and now we're here sat talking about consortiums and Milan Mandaric and things.
What a year it's been, eh? What a year it's been. How well, I remember being sat, James, last summer, and we were talking about it, and we were going, we probably need to talk about the England game, and both of us agreeing, oh, it was a bit shit, and we can't be arsed, and all the rest of it. And then we'd find ourselves talking about it for 45 minutes. If Wednesday played a game at the minute, we might cover it for 5.
I know. Give me the World Cup again. Just wheel that one out. I'll gladly talk about that now. Anyway, let's. There's loads of comments already. I'm probably not going to be able to get through them all. Charles is here. We've got Daz. We've got Rob. Tony's here as well. Emma, Darren. Matt says, big day with them London-based lawyers tomorrow, ? Amber says, evening, missing watching Cypress Hill at Hellfest for this.
Joke.
Let's have some good news, please. Well, not sure on that one, but we'll see. Ben said, think people need to chill out with the expectations. This is Chansiri they are dealing with. This won't be simple, smooth transaction, even if he agrees to sell. Times 2 agents have said, is Adam Shaw tonight? No, it isn't. There was a post on X as well. But let's get into that then, Matt, if we can. Obviously, it is the news that everyone's been talking about in the past couple of hours or so. Adam Shaw, in explaining why he's not conducted that interview yet with ourselves, just dropped it in there that they're now in talks with the law firm that represents the Chansiri family. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that I did say the Chansiri family and not Dejphon Chansiri himself, which I do think is a key point, like an important point as well. But obviously, a lot of people are already seeing that it's a positive step, and I have to say so myself. I think I have to agree that it does sound like something is at least happening, and they're not just sat there twiddling the thumbs, or worse still, fucked off and gone to do something else, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a really blunt way of putting it, James. And to be fair, absolutely spot on. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, just so obviously, again, we've always tried to be as transparent as possible on here. People will know that I've been badgering the US-based consortium team for a while for an interview and trying to get them onto the platform, because I do think it would be good. I think there's some questions that have potentially not been asked of them, and obviously that was why we put out the post for everybody in kind of like the comments, and obviously on X and on YouTube,
which went mental, by the way, as well. There was so many questions.
Yeah. There was a lot of questions,
which is given Matt a bit of a headache trying to compile them all and kind of put them all together, to be honest.
Yeah, putting them together this week has been fun. And that interview was potentially scheduled to be conducted over like a fortnight, 2-week period, because obviously calendars have got to align and bits and pieces and stuff. And then I received a really apologetic message first thing on this morning, followed by can I call you? Now, this was the first time that I've actually ever spoken to Adam via kind of like a voice call. And it's the first interaction that I've had with him directly, because prior to that, neither of us had one another's contact details and weren't speaking in that manner. He was on the phone for 30 to 40 minutes, was very genuine, very apologetic, wanted to get some information out to fans without obviously breaking any trust. As he said, I don't want to let people down. Aside from that, my takeaway from it was, obviously, when I put the phone down, was he as an individual didn't have to call. Could have sent a message that would have sufficed, in terms of I would have just gone, yep, that's no problem, and just responded via a text message. But actually just to call was really, really positive. Again, obviously then asked if we would be able to put a tweet out with regards to the information as surrounding why that the interview hasn't taken place, obviously, when people are expecting it. Yeah, it was really, really positive, like a really positive phone call. Like, any time that anybody is going to come out and, take the time out of the day, this is a very busy individual, clearly. Yeah. But actually to take the time out of the day for, I mean this nicely, James, a bloke in Birmingham who sits on one half of a podcast. Like, he doesn't have to do that at all, but did. So yeah, really, really positive. And obviously we then saw from the information about the being involved in those discussions. So yeah, really, really positive.
Which he just dropped in there, by the way, didn't he? There was no like forewarning. Just by the way, yeah, we are talking to these. But like I said, it is his the Chansiri family, the people that represent the Chansiri family. So I mean, we can speculate over that. Maybe it's something that we can perhaps ask him when we talk to him as to why that is, and why they're talking to them and why they're not talking to him himself. I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe the fact that we just know how difficult Chansiri is to deal with, don't we? I don't know. Maybe they're just trying a different angle of attack. But the thing that I take, I just referenced it just earlier, is they've had one bid, it was rejected. They've upped the bid, and however they did that, whether that was obviously the kickers that I know John was talking about, or whether they've just upped the initial bid or whatever it was, that's got rejected as well. Flat, like zero negotiations as well. Yep. And I think you've got to give credit to Adam Shaw in that he's managed to keep them all together and keep them all interested, or certainly looks like that way anyway. I don't know how difficult that's been behind the scenes, but they could have easily just walked away. But they're still there. They clearly, he's clearly driven enough to actually want this, given despite the setbacks that we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm very positive about anybody who is taking an interest in Sheffield Wednesday, no matter who it be at the minute, because I think the current situation is so dire from a financial perspective, but also from just the humanitarian perspective of the fact of we're unable to meet the basic requirements of any employer of being able to pay wages, whether that be players or whether that be club staff who were late. Let's not forget that club staff were late on their wages as well. The fact that there is a Sheffield Wednesday fan associated to this consortium is something that I am really, I personally feel is a real positive. The fact that there is a large number of people involved in the consortium, we've heard 16. That to me is a positive. Because there will be so many different areas of expertise within that particular consortium, rather than it just being attached to one man or two people, because we've seen what happens when it is just a single figurehead. That also means that each one of those people within their consortium will have different roles. Now, neither of us know what those are. And nobody really does, aside from anybody who's actually in that consortium. Nobody knows what each individual person's role is, because the only people who know who are actually involved within that consortium are that consortium themselves.
Some people just pump money in as well, Matt. Like, that is their sole job, is just literally they put some money in and then they do nothing else. And then they just hope that money then, garners interest or, generate some more money further down the line. Sometimes that's all that people want.
And some people will do it for the prestige of it. Some people will want to be attached to a particular brand or a football club. So say, for argument's sake, take LeBron James at Liverpool. Do you really think he cares? No. I think it's a good business opportunity for him to get in with Fenway Sports. Do I think it's, you might wheel out a particular figurehead occasionally to add some gravity to it? Look at what Knighthead Capital have done at Birmingham City. They just wheel out Tom Brady, take him to a pub before a game, make him go and watch a Birmingham City versus Wrexham game, and then off on a plane he goes back to somewhere else, but everybody gravitates towards it. I just think it's the things that I've heard coming out of that consortium so far are the right moves. The phone call, obviously, to myself today for that. Again, I personally took that as because it was for myself. Like, I took it as a huge positive and a massive compliment. But that's not to say that this will all go entirely smoothly or anything like that. This is just something that, again, I think adds weight to the credibility of just a different approach to it, just being a human to another human, rather than just seeing people as the enemy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring this comment up from Dave. He says, if they've got to second base with DC and are now talking to lawyers, could that mean there's been an offer accepted in principle? Now, I've seen a lot of people saying this on socials in the past hour or so. Now, again, I want to stress that they're talking to the Chansiri Family Lawyers. Now, nothing's been said. I don't know if any deal has been initially agreed or not. I would hazard a guess that isn't the case, because it's not Chansiri or Sheffield Wednesday lawyers that he's talking to. It's the ones that represent the family. So, again, I can't confirm nor deny. My hunch is that no bid has been accepted at this moment in time. But I just wanted to clear that up, or give my thoughts, because I think I've seen a lot of people saying that recently.
It's just a different approach, isn't it, James? You've tried going directly to the person himself, and that's not worked. So you try a different approach, which, again, just goes back to I suppose one thing that you have to, whether you are pro this Florida-based US Consortium or negative, they don't give up easy. Like, I mean that really nice that they really don't give up easily. Because
I just hope, Matt,
that have been and walked away.
Yeah, Matt, I just hope that the lawyers that they are speaking to aren't the ones from John West, because then they're not to do with him. So apparently, but obviously some representative of his family were supposedly there at the last game of the season. I know people have picked out one person, Thurapong, I think was his name, as being his brother, and apparently he was there. Again, nothing's been confirmed or who they were, but social media has done their part and done their digging and things. But Matt, I think you wanted to bring some other comments up before we kind of move.
Yeah, there was one other comment here, which is from Jack Walker, who said, "Hi lads, I usually listen to you both on Spotify en route to site on a Monday, but for the first time tuning in live whilst on pat leave, so paternity leave. New Wednesdayite here. Welcome to the world, Sophia Lynn Walker. Congratulations, mate. I hope everybody in the family is doing really well, and please remember the depths of newborn parenting does get easier. I promise you."
Yeah, it was that bad. I did it again. I've done it twice, Matt. So
yeah. One was bad enough for me, James. I'll be honest with you.
yeah, exactly. So congratulations, Jack, on the newborn. Let's move on, because we've got so much to talk about. The other thing as well, Owls in the Park, that was cancelled. Obviously the family event that mums and dads take the kids to. Looking forward to seeing the players, some of them new, some of them old, a chance to usually see the new kit as well, maybe even buy it. Really good, positive event, which could have been needed at this moment in time. Well, it should have been the week as of yesterday, next Saturday. I say should because, it is now cancelled after all the rumours to say that it was going to be cancelled. It was now made a reality. It's just, I suppose in one way it is disappointing, because again, that's kind of how the young fans potentially could be, exposed to Sheffield Wednesday without having to spend £400 on a ticket for four people to go and watch us. And obviously that's not going to happen now, which is a little bit of a shame.
Yeah. I think, to be clear right off the bat, this was the right thing to do. But it is incredibly sad that an initiative that is led by the community project, and this year is in partnership with Hayes Travel, has had to be shelved because of the ineptitude and the feelings surrounding the ownership of the football club. This is not a reflection on the players. It's not a reflection on the manager, the coaching staff, the vendors, the community support team, Hayes Travel, us as fans. It's a reflection of the feeling of deep animosity towards the current ownership of the football club and the situation he alone has put us in. It's just a really sad situation.
Yeah, I must admit, I've not been to all of them. However, something that I am pretty ashamed of is I did have a photo taken with Dejpon Chansiri himself, which...
You're smiling as well. You're not throttling him.
In my defence, I had hair. So that is how long ago it was. So, you know what I mean? Like that must have been, it's got to be 2016, surely. It surely must have been after we'd got to the playoff final, where everyone, and I will admit it, everyone thought he was the person. Everyone thought that Dejpon Chansiri was the man to take us to the promised land. And I have no shame in admitting that. But yeah, there's a photo which if you're in Discord, you've seen it. It's not a great photo at all. But yeah, anyway, like I say, it's just a shame that it's not going ahead. However, I suppose it was inevitable that it was going to get cancelled, weren't it? Even though people had said, and the trust had come out and kind of explicitly said they're not going to be staging any protests. I think, when you get that many people in and the kind of the animosity that's surrounding the club at the moment, something was probably going to happen at some point.
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, like, it was cited as it being safety concerns, wasn't it? And the blame, or I suppose the blame was attributed or shifted towards local council, potentially police forces, all the rest of it, which, okay, you're splitting hairs over who's to blame when everybody actually knows the person who's to blame is the person who has been to blame for Sheffield Wednesday's demise since, 2018. It's just the whole thing.
The council probably asked for money up front for the park, and he just didn't didn't pay it. So,
this was my favourite as well, James, from Chris Wilde. Couldn't afford the Bouncy Castle, so there's another one.
Imagine how much the Bouncy Castle would have been. 500 quid a go.
Just ridiculous.
It's Sammy the Snake.
It's just ridiculous. Hey, Preston, where'd you get them balls from off the roof?
Let's stop the Phoenix Nights memes. Let's stop them from there, right there. We could get quite out of hand if we carry on.
Just to be, again, James, just going back to that original point, whether there was, going to be, I suppose, there wasn't obviously a protest or anything organised by kind of like the Sheffield Wednesday Trust, who have been very forward in kind of like their organising of protests at the last home game and games previously. There wasn't anything there, but would it have surprised anybody had there been people who had taken it off their own back to start chants, to do all of these things? And then the other thing is, James, we've potentially knocked back pre-season by a week. Who'd have been there? Would it have just been like a load of bouncy castles and face painting and bits and pieces in the park? Because that, whilst as enjoyable as a day out that is, if the sun's shining, people go because it's associated to the football club. People go because it's, as a young boy or girl, you get to see your heroes. You get to listen to them speak. You get to have a photo with them. Would there have been a manager there? Would there have been any coaching staff there? Would they have actually turned up and filled their obligation? Now, don't get me wrong. I think from their perspective, the players would have probably wanted to have been there, and the manager would have wanted to have been there, and anybody connected to this football club, because it is a great opportunity to earn not just some brownie points, but it's a really good opportunity to connect with fans right at the start of what is a very, very long season, and vice versa for fans to connect with players. And as you say, there's some great snaps and images that have come out of that event previously, notwithstanding your one, James, obviously. But it is, you do kind of sit there, don't you? And you just think, this is sad. But the minute that news came out, I was like, that is 100% the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, there's obviously, for the kids as well, I know that quite a lot of the kids see the players when they come off sometimes come off the bus, or sometimes they come in their own cars or whatever, is when they arrive in at Hillsborough and they get, the signatures and stuff like that. And obviously they'll cherish that for, forever. But this is a massive opportunity to get pictures with, quite a lot of the players and the signatures and stuff. And that just might, make that young fan become a Wednesdayite forever. Do you know what I mean? And obviously that's going to be missed. I've got to bring this comment up from Jason. Yes. I know I said I weren't going to keep going on with the Phoenix Nights quotes, but Jason's put Dej Pond Perry.
Well, whilst we're there and we're picking up the Phoenix Nights quotes, James has picked it up in Amsterdam as part of a set. The other one's in the back. Do you want to see it? No, I do not. Right, we're done now.
We are done. We're done with the Phoenix Nights quotes. Thank you very much. But yeah, like I said, I'd heard loads of whispers and rumours and stuff that were going to get cancelled. It came as no surprise when that one came out. I think I put a tweet out saying, how long until the next kind of bit of news that comes out? I think about an hour that the club waited before they dropped that one. The one that came before that was this 3-window transfer fee ban. I know. Can I
just before we move on to that, James, can I just highlight this one, which is really just the stark reality of how desperate that being cancelled is. It's from Stannington. It's one of the biggest things the kids look forward to in the summer. For them, it must be like going to ski for 2 weeks. So it's it's one of the things that they look forward to. Something that like is marked on the calendar, and that is the reality of the situation. Like, the reality of the situation is that as a parent or a carer, you having to explain to somebody who potentially doesn't understand it. Because it's a conversation that I had with my lad on Monday. My lad's never been to a game. My lad lives 90 odd miles away.
Yeah.
And I was having to tell him, I can't take you up there. Oh, why not, Dad? Oh, we're not going up there because it's not running this year. Oh, why not? Why not? I'd been really excited. He wanted to meet Ozzy. He wanted to see Barry Bannon. That was a difficult conversation in the car. Shay Charles, he was looking for all of those players, and I was like, it's not going to happen this year, mate. Sad. Anyway, 3-window transfer ban.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it felt like it was about 3 weeks ago. And again, the worst kept secret, you know what I mean? We knew it would come in. It was just obviously we're waiting for that 14 days, which obviously ran out on on Tuesday. So I say it was Monday. It must have been Tuesday when this was announced. It was definitely Tuesday.
The Owls in the Park was Monday.
Ah, right. Okay, I've got it mixed up. But anyway, that ban obviously came after the 14 days, which he has now appealed. Which I don't know how we can appeal it. I don't know what, did you or didn't you pay them
for that appeal?
Yeah, but let's just wheel one of the Charlie, get in. Charlie, have you been paid? No. All right, okay. Well, he says you have.
Not you.
Baz, have you been paid? Yes, I have.
You're not here anymore. Jenny, come here.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in a second, actually. But Matt, I know we have spoken about it before, but it's going to absolutely cripple, isn't it? 3-window transfer fee ban. So for those that have been living under a rock and don't understand what that means, it kind of means what it says on the tin, really. We can't pay anything for players. It also means we can't pay anything for any loans. So as I've mentioned a few times, the Shea Charles loan, for example, can't happen now, or loans in that sort of ilk. If we do have someone on loan, like I said, we can't pay any fee towards them. We'd be able to contribute towards the wages, but we can't pay an actual fee, to bring them in. So yeah, I mean, even some of the players that we think's been a free, like Jeddy Gassama, I don't think he actually was a free. I think he was, an undisclosed fee. Obviously, we don't say anything, do we? At this football club. But again, we are going to be. I know I keep saying it all the time. We are shopping in the middle aisle at Aldi. We're shopping. Even less than that. We are in clearance section. Do you know what I mean? In the bargain basement. So it's just gonna. I really don't see how we're going to be able to build a squad good enough to even compete, because we were saying all this season that the squad's not really good enough. Obviously, that was for pushing into the top 6.
Yeah,
but I just really don't see how anyone even signs for us, let alone comes to us on a free. If you know what I mean.
No, it's a really bleak outlook. If you're looking at a points total or where you finish, 50 points and 21st is the only aim this season. I don't care about hook or by crook. You have to get to that. Doesn't matter about the brand of football. Doesn't matter about the style. Doesn't matter about whether Josh Windass plays in a 10 or central defensive midfield. It does not matter this year.
Gets goals from everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. It does not matter this year. The players, the manager, coaching staff, whoever it is, they deserve our backing without any form of logic, without any rhyme or reason this season, because of what has happened since Watford. And I do think it's really important to remember that. And it is something that I'm going to have to remind myself of in the depths of December and January. Don't forget this period of time, which has just been total upheaval, uncertainty. The most, and it is normally unstable under Dejphon Chansiri in this period of time. It's very unstable. But it's even more so now. It's it's a volcanic eruption this summer of just constant, stream after stream of bad news.
Matt, I've got this. What do you think I should do with it?
Correct. You can burn that and pick up another one in a couple of years' time.
Bring it back in January 2027 when we can pay for someone.
But it's just, I think if that... Because that is down to managers, coaching staff, all the rest of it. Don't get me wrong, if there is an ownership change and, there are mitigating circumstances that can be worked out with the EFL, that can be worked out with the Football League, that can bring you out of certain things. But again, nothing's a guarantee. Nothing's absolutely nailed on for certain. It becomes, right, yes, the first 11 might be good enough for survival. But when you turn to your bench... And your bench is a lot of unproven players at this level, because it will have to be filled by young kids or your wider 23, 22 man squad, whatever it is.
Yeah. You
are going to be turning to young players, because £7,000 a week, yes, whilst an awful lot of money, it's not a lot of money at championship level. It's not a lot of money to be able to sustain an avoiding relegation club. And if the current owner is still in place at that time, who's going to come? As you rightly said, James, who on earth in their right mind is going to come to this circus after it's all been out in the public and national media have picked it up and local journalists have been talking about it? Why on earth, unless this is your last resort, do you turn up here? You don't?
Yeah, I mean, just want to point out, and Natalie said it there, the 7K cap does get lifted when all players have been paid and when we're outside of that embargo, for avoidance of doubt. But still, I mean, when are we going to be out of this embargo? Like, when?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no sign of all the players being paid yet. We've got HMRC bills. We've got players' wages again. It's all coming thick and fast. Jabo said new kit sponsor is going to be Temu. Then there was Jason said even Temu as a sponsor would be an improvement. To be fair, I think it might be Sheen that might be making the kit next season if we're not careful, or Vinted. We might be getting it off Vinted, just second hand.
I mean, it is just. It's just a constant stream, isn't it, of like just negativity and poor news. And there's been a couple of people in the comments. I am struggling. Sorry, I can't quite keep up with it. There is so many people in there this evening who are talking. But the one surrounding, there was a comment in there surrounding if new ownership were to come in, does it all just go away? No, you're not out of the woods yet. Like, they have got to, fulfill all of those wages. They've got to, that's the one. They've got to fulfill all of those. It's then got to be negotiated with the EFL. Now, everything that we've heard from the SWFC Trust, and I think a couple of articles that have been written by Bethany Patrick have also highlighted that the EFL do want to be positive with Sheffield Wednesday, and they do want to see the club succeed. And we've heard that consistently. That doesn't mean that they automatically just go away. It's not like, okay, let's say for argument's sake, we were bought out tomorrow morning, let's say, by Mandaric gets an early flight and he flies back in, pulls a consortium together and, Bob's your uncle, but not in my case because he's my dad. Like, you automatically got a new owner. EFL go, okay, cool, but you've still got a lot of things that need taking care of first.
Yeah.
And actually, okay, we might keep you in this window. We might lift them for January. We might lift them for the following summer. But until that has been sufficed, this isn't going anywhere. And if you receive a points deduction, which there is a potential for that is the ultimate last chance saloon. They don't want this to happen. But we have been down this road before with this owner, where we received it. Correct me if I'm wrong, James. We received it on the eve of the start of the season, where it was
something like that. Yeah,
it was a proper points deduction, not a 2-point deduction. It was a 6-point deduction. It wasn't.
It was 12.
It was 12, which was reduced to 6 on appeal.
Yeah, it was 12 and it was reduced to 6 later on down the line. So, it was a fucking hell. Then it was all right, a little bit better.
It might be able to claw back 6 points, but turns out those 6 points would have been really handy come the end of the season. It's not, it's not a joke points deduction like they received down the road or 2. It's 2 wins. Like, it's a really tall order for a side that is going to be down the bottom of the division this year.
Yeah, a couple of things as well. People are saying embargo. Will the embargo be lifted? The embargo will be lifted when the players' wages are paid. This other thing is the transfer fee ban. So I just wanted to clear that up as well, there's. I sound like I've read through the EFL handbook from cover to cover. I haven't, but it feels like I have. You know what I mean? With all this, which again, as a fan, I shouldn't have to be reading those sorts of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I should be looking on transfer market for how much players are going to cost and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to make that point. To be fair, on wages, they are still unpaid. I feel like this has just been brushed under the carpet. Yeah. We are now Sunday, the 22nd of June. Players are looking already. Like at this point in the month, I'm thinking when is payday, because I need money for them. I mean, they've not even been paid for last month either. Some of them, and obviously it's rapidly approaching. Nobody's really talking about it at all. It was obviously a big thing. It's now I feel like it's just become the norm that the players just don't get paid. Everyone was saying, is it going to be today? Christ, I've even got on Discord, I've got a have players being paid yet section that I've been updating. I've been a bit lax on that one. I've updated it for a week. Yeah, it's still red. No change. Just look at the last update. It's still exactly the same. Honestly, I didn't really think I would get into this situation whereby players are still not being paid for last month.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd be here a week, from less than a week from the next payday. But again, I say that probably out of naivety or not wanting to think that this might happen. The reality of the situation was this was always going to happen. Like, it was always going to happen. Once you'd run over it and you hear those whisperings of what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And, like, you listen to the one thing that I have learned, and I mean this very nicely. This is the only time that I've been very grateful for not living in the fine city of Sheffield, is because the rumour mill in Sheffield is rife.
But the thing is, though, they're becoming believable, these rumours.
100%.
Like, someone says something and you think, fuck off, that's rubbish. And then you go, actually, like, that bar, that last behind bar, she's probably is right. Like,
genuinely, James, it's what I mean. Is
the word I'm looking for is barmaid. And I couldn't quite grasp it at that moment in time. But last behind the bar, it's the same thing.
But it is, James, and also we've got the added bonus this week of everybody's favourite person rolling round, as Big Artie Shaw's just said. Taxman's also lurking this week.
Hey, but if you don't pay them, HMRC can't take anything, can they? You know what I mean? Like, so.
I tell you two things you can have: them fucking golden elephants. You can have them. You can have them bastards.
I can't wait to someone try and weigh them in at the pawnbrokers to see how much they can get for them. So. Aren't they chained down? I'm sure they're chained down.
I think they're screwed into the floor. I think they've been drilled in. But anyway, by the by, James. But it's when you
elephants in the Don,
elephants in the Don, elephants under the bridge. But it's ridiculous that we are still sat here 3 weeks ago and we're talking about players who haven't been paid for this month. And we're also forgetting the fact that is 2 of the last 3 months that these players have either not been paid or only partially paid or late payments of wages. Again, we've said it before. I will say it again. I will reiterate it again. Try going to a mortgage lender. Try going to a landlord. Try going to do your food shop with an IOU. Don't work.
Yeah, exactly. It's. I just think it's just a sad situation that we found ourselves in. There's been, Joe did confirm that some of the players have been paid, Matt. Now, at that point, I think we were talking about that last week. I said, how much money has he found? And then I kind of answered my own question because, yes, not everyone's been paid. So he's clearly not found all the money, or else they would have all been paid. So, I mean, no one knows who hasn't been paid or not, but, I mean, who do you think would have, if anything?
Right, I'm removing the human aspect of this, James, just for a second here and thinking about this from a strategic business standpoint and trying to think like our chairman. Right, anybody who is a saleable asset is getting paid. Why? Because from a business perspective, that is the only thing that makes sense right now. Why start behaving humane? Why start looking at them as more than just a number on a balance sheet because it's past that? From his perspective, it's now about complete and utter survival mode, and it gets brutal and very gory. It's a horrible way to behave. It's completely dehumanizing. But if it was me and I was in the position he's in, I'm paying people who are an asset to this football club. I'm paying Ujedi Gassama. I'm paying Anthony Masaba. I'm paying Charlie McNeil. I'm paying Pierce Charles. Anybody who I've offered a contract to and they're not signing, good luck. Good luck. If you can go find something else, go find something else. And that's horrendously sad when we are, chucking into that mix of Akinfenmewo and Callum Patterson there, a genuine modern day Sheffield Wednesday club legend, or actually just a club legend by any stretch of the imagination in Barry Bannon, who was pivotal for our success last year. Josh Windass gets paid. Michael Smith, I'm not so fussed. Dishon Bernard gets paid. The first 11 get paid. Anyone after that, it's kind of what it is. But there was a really good point here just brought up by Paul Johnston. Do you think players will hand in their notice when they don't get paid next week?
Well, that is it. That what you're just saying there is to get around that, isn't it? Really, is to for those that he doesn't want to be here or he's not that bothered about not being here, he won't have paid. And if they make that decision, they make it. It's no skin off his back. And if they stay, well, that's just tough, isn't it? Like they've decided to stick around a little bit longer. And it is mental that we're talking about like who would you pay? Well, who do you think has been paid and who hasn't? But it is a great point. Like, I mean, again, put your conspiracy hat on. There's a thought behind, has he the big earners, has he not paid them so that they might, get off the wage bill and it makes it a bit cheaper? I suppose there's an element of if you pay half of them, if you paid half of them last week and then you pay half of them, on next payday, then that satisfied the two paydays without payment, and none of them could leave at that point. And you've got away with just paying, one lot of wages, if you know what I mean, rather than having to. I don't know. Like, again, mental that we're even considering this like as an actual thing that's happened. And I think it was I can't remember. Was it Gaz on Twitter who was saying he was talking to a footballer over the weekend, not a Sheffield Wednesday footballer, someone else, about kind of what it's like when you're out of contract, and it must be horrible. Like, it's bad enough. Fortunately, I've never been out of work or anything like that. But it must be bad enough trying to find a job. Yes, I know they should have got money saved up and stuff like that and everything else, but it's not as easy as like just finding a job at the next supermarket or whatever. Nope. That's just 5 minutes further away. You could be talking like let's look at some of the, like Jayden Brown. He's playing at Dennis Adeniran, playing in Scotland. Like it's not just Rotherham or a Chesterfield or somewhere like that. Fucking like miles away. Stranraer. Like,
Stranraer, Scotland, Stranraer. Anyway,
do you know what I mean? It's adding to that, some of these players, like, they might have been released, and then they've not got paid the wages for last month. They're thinking, am I going to get paid the wages for this month? Because they will. Players are, at the end of this month, that's when that is it. It's finished. They are actually out of contract. So, Paul Valentin, fortunately, he's found another job. He's got a contract at Preston North End, but they're not all, they're not all going to be in that same situation as him. So it is, it's just an added layer of stress that you just don't need.
Yeah, I mean, the other one that I've highlighted here from Amber. Thank you for sticking with us, Amber, and not watching Cypress Hill. Only paying some of them causes problems within the team, teammates looking at each other with hate. I would argue there's a bigger problem, because if it was me and I was either club captain, squad captain, or a figure of any sort of influence, I'd be saying, until we all get paid, none of us get paid and we don't play.
Yeah.
I like, that's the way I'd be looking at it. You build a whole, we're not talking about, I mean this very nicely, James. We're not talking about a company here. We're not talking about a private company. We're talking about a group of people who, yes, they are effectively guns for hire, like they are private contractors who are contracted to a club for a certain amount of time and then they leave. But it is built on a team ethic and a team basis, and it is a team sport. And when you're looking at team, if it's me and I'm sat there and I walk in on that first week of preseason, whenever it is, and we're playing dog and duck in our first preseason friendly down, I don't know, Hillsborough Park, and we're just getting some cones out, I'd be, honestly, James, I would be saying, has everyone been paid in here? Because we've done this before as a squad. We did this before a game away in London in 2021, I think it was, where the coach refused to leave until everybody was paid. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting you said that. That's Bolton went down that route. Was that 2018, 2019, I want to say, something like that?
19, I think.
Yeah, and they just refused to train and stuff until they got paid, and then I think they'd already been relegated, and they just refused to play I think it was Brentford. I think they were playing. They got
slapped, didn't they? 6 or 7.
Yeah, but before that they said they weren't going to play and stuff like that. So that we could be getting in that sort of realms where we're having to wheel the kids out, but just to kind of fulfill fixtures, like if we're not careful. And morale, a big thing. And it's interesting that that Amber said that, because on Extra Time we are going to be talking about kind of our realistic season prediction. It's easy to say, relegated. Worst points total in the Championship ever. But I'm going to actually look at it and put take his blue tinted glasses off. I don't think they're tinted anymore, are they? They're smashed, and I've no idea.
Not tinted. I've lost them. I've lost them.
But and actually give a realistic kind of what we think going to happen, and we're going to touch on stuff like that, like morale in the team and what it's going to be like. Let's not forget that the gaffer doesn't even want to be there either. Let's add that into the mix. That's something that was just kind of, again, swept under the carpet, not really being spoken about, to be honest. So if you want to listen to that, we're going live straight after this show. patreon.com/WTID pod is where you need to go if you want to watch that one, and you can just roll straight into the next episode after this. You mentioned first game of the season as well, and Can't Be Arsed on YouTube has said pre-season we'll be playing Royal Oak, and again, funny you should say that because we were in the Discord. I think it was Andy that came up with some examples. He says that we're going to play in Real Trouble CF, we're going to be playing Atletico Apathy, and Rapid Decline. However, I'm not going to blow smoke up my own arse, but I think I came up with the best one. We're going to be playing Inter Administration. So
that did provide me with a cheap chuckle today. I'll be honest with you, James.
Yeah, they are perfect five-a-side names, aren't they?
100%. If people aren't using that around Sheffield and you play for a blue and white mainly base team, please start using them.
I mean, I used to work at Sports Sheffield. For those that don't know, that's part of the University of Sheffield, the sports department, and they used to have the inter club Intramural, that's it, exactly. Some of the team names were fantastic. I mean, the amount of teams that were called Into Your Mum or something like. I think we had to ban it at one point just because, it wasn't politically correct for five-a-side. But yeah, there were so many great ones. I'm sure some people will be getting in the comments with some others. I'm sure.
I was just going to say, James, whilst we're on great names here, so far there have been a lot of fantastic names come up for the Florida-based consortium. One of my personal favourites up to this point, with the one that I'm going to highlight in a second, was the Flow Rider Consortium, which I thought was great. This one so far is going to take some beating, however, from Sir Aaron Rescue, a name for the consortium, Shaw's Yank Redemption. That's going to take some beating, that, I'll be honest.
That is quality. That is, yeah. Can you beat it? I don't think you will be able to, but that is a brilliant one. Let's just continue with the happy story that is Sheffield Wednesday, Matt. Let's just all the happy news that's coming out of the club. I am wearing the North Stand T-shirt. We might not be able to sit on said North Stand next season. I might be joining you, mate. I might be with the Prawn Sandwich Brigade.
Don't you bring any fucking singing or clapping or enthusiasm over to my stand. Look, we sit firmly on our hands in total silence.
I can't wait until T1 get relocated into the grandstand. Is all I'm saying.
Honestly, if I were the club just for fun, I'd just go, where middle section of the south, right behind the dugout.
Yes. Get them all stood up. Let's get them there. We've done you a favour. You don't have to pay any extra for your ticket. I know it's £300 more expensive on the south, but if you knock off your prawn sandwiches, we can do you a deal. And just oh, yeah. Absolutely. George has just said, get it forward, sat next to Matt. Do you know what? Wherever he's going, I am going in the opposite stand. No, get away from that bloke. I hope he hasn't renewed. I didn't ask him if he had or not, but I hope he hasn't.
James, just while we're here, the North Stand T-shirts, where can you pick them up from?
What a segue that is, Matt. Yeah, you can get it from the merchandise store, wtidpod.myshopify.com, and if you use the code condemned, you can get a $5 off for today only, by the way. So if you're listening to this on audio, and maybe I'll leave it up until Monday. I'll leave it up until Monday evening. Give people the OGs, the real OGs that listen on audio on the commute to work or whatever. You can get one as well. So and off the hoodies as well, by the way. So $5 off. So go and grab yourself one. I've got about 4 in various different colours and different sizes as well, which says something. But we'll gloss over that. Yeah. We talked about that last time. Maybe the strawberries will have got something to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a meeting last week. I know there were a lot of pictures flying around on socials. They were actually from either 2022 or 2023, depending on which photos they were, because there were 2 kind of reports that had come that were kind of on this meeting. The upshot from what was said last week. Now also I want to point out, by my reckoning, there was work that should have been done on the North Stand by the end of 2024. Yeah. That's what the club had said that was going to happen. There was then a meeting in March where they said that the work hadn't been done, but it was going to be done in the summer, so now basically. And he also said that they were pretty unhappy that the work had not been done, being given recommendation and ample time to do that work. Now, another meeting's taken place, and I think Joe pointed it out. I think also Clive Betts, that is the MP, that had mentioned it, that there's going to be some sort of decision this week. But a structural engineer has had to produce a report identifying any work that needs to be completed by a degree of urgency as well, and anything that is classed as urgent work where there's a safety concern will have to be completed before the season commences, or the stand would have a prohibition notice. So basically the stand won't get the certificate and it'll be shut until that work's been done. Now, there's a couple of things. Like, one, there might not be anything that's urgent, and it might just be just like an MOT, like advisory, which, like most people do, I'll ignore that until next time around and not do anything with it. I don't know. Nothing's been said as being urgent. However, there was stuff that should have been done that hasn't been done. I mean, there's a couple of things that's thrown up for me, Matt, on this. One is the season kicks off in 48 days, I think it is, or 47 if you want to count the Friday, that's the actual official first game of the season. That's not long. Now, if anyone's asked people to do any sort of work for them, like, they are not just sat twiddling the thumbs for Sheffield Wednesday to come along and go, oh, by the way, like, can you do this work for me? There's two things. One, someone's got to actually go around and do a report, write up said report. Then I'm guessing they're going to have to tender for the work. Like, it's not just going to be good for the first person. Like, it's going to be a few people that want to, that's going to quote for doing the work. Then they've got to come and do the work. And then I'm guessing they're probably going to say, now then, Dejpon, I want paying now before I do the work. Also, I'm not doing it. And all that has got to take place in 47 days. Like, I'm not being funny. If anything work has been identified as urgent, it ain't happening. Like, I can't see a world where this work just gets done and I'm just going to drop everything and get this sorted, unless there's some engineer that actually sits on the north stand and they really want to sit there for the start of the season. That's the only time that this is actually going to happen. So if there's any engineers out there, like, just get on the blower to Dejpon. You might not get in touch with him, but you can at least try.
Well, at least the structural engineer's report shouldn't take too long, because he's just been putting it off for the last 3 years. So it'll just be rinse and repeat. Yeah, it'll literally just be, you need an engineer's report. Go back 2 years. It's the same stuff. It's just worse. Like, it's
back to the MOT analogy. Like, if your tire's got 2 mil on it, it's not going to have 4, is it? By not doing it. Like, I mean, it's not going to grow, is it?
Well, it was when you were talking. No, you're right. Sorry, James. That's just really struck a chord from my first car. When you're talking here about that of just, it's advisory, I'll do it next year. Problem is, we've been doing that since about 2018. We've been going out next year. Huge problem. The one ground in this country that you do not want to associate with the stand and safety issues is Hillsborough Stadium. Now, you cannot, and I think it was when we initially discussed this way back when, March, did you say, or April, when we first discussed this, you do not play fast and loose with people's safety in a football stand. You do not play fast and loose with this stuff, especially with what this ground is historically synonymous with.
And if this gets out into the wider audience as well, that this is what's happening, like, Christ almighty, do you know what I mean? All we had to have were some Newcastle fans that couldn't find the seat in the West Stand, and all hell broke loose in terms of that one, and the national media, as they will always do, had a field day with all that sort of news. All they need now is to get a whisper of what's happening here on another stand, and we're in for a whole nother world of pain again. And you're right, like, we just don't need it. We just don't need this adding on once again. But there's so many questions, like, why is it not being done? What needs to be done? I mean, by all accounts, it's like all the I don't know what the technical word is, all the trusses or the struts or whatever that are on the top of the roof.
Far better than me. The bendy things on your T-shirt, you mean?
These bits here, these metal bits that are at the top, those are just rusty as fuck. Like, they're just, some of the pictures. I mean, James, I don't.
Can I just check, James? They look quite important, even on your T-shirt, for the structure of holding that roof up. Am I right in thinking so? That the whole point of a stand like that is so that actually all of the weight is in those. Am I right in thinking so?
Yeah, the cantilever bit actually is needed. Yeah, that's kind of a.
It's kind of in the name, isn't it? Cantilever stand. It's kind of in the name. It's just, honestly, James, we're joking, but we are talking really seriously here. Of you can understand why from 2018-19 onwards why SAG have been reducing our capacity at Hillsborough year on year, because how you can, in good conscience, genuinely continue to sign off on this when you've just given all of those kind of like things that came from Clive and from Joe Cran. You can't. You just cannot do so. And I've just highlighted one comment earlier. It's from Sam JW here. For away fans next season, if this clown and crook is still at your club, would you advise us not buying tickets to help boycott them, or buy them and shout for him to get out of your club? Ultimately, mate, in regards to kind of like ticketing, whatever is right for you and whatever you feel is right, I wouldn't want you spoiling your weekends or your day out just based on something else. But one thing
they need to not support. They don't need to have to not support their football club just because we've got an absolute basket case for no one. I mean, I genuinely appreciate your support, but for me, just come and support your team. We might not be there, but you can certainly be there.
Yeah. But the reason why I'd highlighted that, James, is because Sheffield Wednesday away is one of the biggest allocations in the league. If you want it, not this year. No chance. Yeah. No chance if it's like this. You got absolutely no chance of getting a large allocation. You've got if you think about where you could house away fans, like really seriously and safely, like for a consistently long period of time, we've watched over the course of this season, 4,000 fans. If you can sell them, we'll give them you 4,000 tickets. We're very similar to Blackburn, aren't we? In terms of, you want however many, we'll sell them for you. Now it is going to be significantly cut down to that like top left-hand portion of the Leppings Lane end, which is what away fans get for playoff games for us. Like if I think back to Plymouth, Peterborough, and I think back to Brighton, that's what they get, isn't it? That top corner.
Yeah.
That is going to reduce it by 2,000, 2,100 it will be, which will still be a relatively sized away allocation, but that will also cut ticket revenue. That will also cut ticket revenue alongside a whole home stand fan being a home fan stand. There we go. Not a home stand fan, a home fan stand potentially being shut because of how long this has been left. And as you said, we've got 47 days till the start of the season. If there are certain things with a degree of urgency in there, which it sounds from the stuff that has been discussed publicly, that some of those are going to be urgent. You got no hope. You got no hope of that being there for the first couple of games. And then you're plunged into, well, how do you complete these fixtures? How do you play the games? Where do you play the games? Do you play them at home but nobody sits in the stand? Is that safe? Because realistically, who knows if that's safe? Nobody has a clue.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing as well. What does happen to people that are in the North Stand? Do they get relocated? I mean, the Big Artie Show has got a great comment or suggestion. He says, all fans in the North Stand will get a complimentary hard hat for the start of the season. Yeah, it would not surprise me. But you've got to bring your own as well. It says complimentary. You have to buy it, though, actually. I think that's where it's gone wrong. North Stand season tickets will be a tenner more expensive this time around. But, I know we're joking. It is really a serious matter. Like, I think we're joking about it because it is just one thing after another constantly. Like it just keeps going. Constantly. Every single day seems to be another thing. I mean, I suppose another option would be to play the games away from home, but then you get the problem with those down the road. Like they have to play. That means that. I mean, when does the fixtures come out? Is that next week? Is it Thursday this week?
Next week, James. Next week are the fixtures released. We've got no players, potentially no manager, no coaching staff, and no stand to be able to, or no ground to be able to play it. And if we do have a ground, don't worry, we haven't got a pitch. And the fixtures are released, so there's a headache.
But what I mean is, like, you can't just then. Surely that would have to be done before, so that their fixtures can, because it's messing with theirs, unless they just get postponed, and then we just have to fit them in, kind of on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, kind of some later on down the line. I mean, massive headache. I mean, even just moving the season tickets, what sort of headache is that going to cause? Like, one, where do they go? Like, that's one thing. Like, I don't know how many season ticket holders there are in the North. I would hazard a guess that there's probably, in relation to the size of the stand, probably more season ticket holders on the North than any other stand. I mean, the Cop, I suppose, is quite a few, but the copy's vast and it's big. I think on the
huge,
North,
yeah.
the North always looks busy, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's not normally many tickets available for, on general sale and stuff. So, to move them, where do you move them? Did they move them onto the South? Did they have to pay more for that ticket? How much? Do you know what I mean?
Can you imagine going out to people? Where you paid to sit is shut. I'm going to need an extra 80.
Yeah, else you're not coming in.
Get back on the buzz, you're not coming in.
Yeah, like, honestly, I would not put it past them. But then other people are going to thinking, he should be sat on North. Like, why is he paying less for his ticket on Saturday? Let's worry about that when it happens. Do you know what I mean? Let's
not
say
if,
when. Yeah, when.
Oh, what a shambles!
What a shit show. Right, before we'll get on to Milan Mandaric in a second because he did speak as well last week. Just one question that I have. It's just about something that's not being really spoken about, really, which I find baffling. That whenever anything comes out, any new bits of information, whether that's someone who's interested in buying the club or just even being spoken about on TalkSport or whoever it is, everyone's really quick to delve into kind of the background, who they are, everything about them. But like we don't really talk about Dejpon Chansiri. I've mentioned it a few times on here, but where his money actually comes from, and I think it's something that I know the trust have been looking into that, and it's something that I know they said at the fans forum that it's something that they might be able to share a little bit later down the line as to something that they've certainly found. But he's quick to tell us that his money don't come from his dad. He always tells us that every time we have a fans forum. He always tells us, no, it's not my dad's money. It's not John West's money either, because they came out and told us that it's nothing to do with them. But why is he not coming out and telling us where? I mean, it's probably a bit of a moot point really at the moment because he ain't fucking got any money.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? I don't know why we as a fan base haven't really questioned it. It's 2025 and we can't find anything to do with him anywhere. Like you search and you find D taxes in Sheffield 1 to 7. It might be Sheffield 8 now. You never know. I might have set up another one. But I just find it mad that we don't really look. We find everyone else's bankrupt businesses. But we can't really seem to find anything about him. And especially now, Thai Union Foods have come out and said it's nothing to do with us, because I think most people were hanging their hat on that it was, and I know it could be his dad still. He says it's not, but it could just be coming out of his own personal wealth, not necessarily the company. But again, I just find it mental that we haven't really spoken about it.
That, James, is the $1 million question, because I think if you can answer that, the whole house of cards comes tumbling down for me. It would be then very easy from the perspective for you to highlight and showcase that the owner doesn't have money or financial liquidity to continue to run the club. We know that. That's there in black and white with being able to unpay player wages, but laying it out for football regulator, EFL, in a big chain of this is where it is coming from, this is kind of like where the figures are, is what is required. The EFL pretty much confirmed as much so in their comments with the trust, and said, look, we know it's bad, we know what's going on, but we're hamstrung by the rules. We can't do anything with this. You find the money, you'll find the answer to this problem, I think. The evidence obviously then would become insurmountable. Most importantly, the public pressure would become so high, which it is already at a pressure cooker level, but it would explode if you found out where the money was or how much was in that bank account, for argument's sake. I think it would then become inside of a week, 2 weeks, a sale would happen to say from further public embarrassment. Someone somewhere knows something. It's on this particular issue, it has to be found sooner than later if the chairman is going to continue behaving in the manner that he is. If there is stuff that is agreed over the next couple of weeks, months, however long, okay, fine. But that is the smoking gun for me. It always is, James, isn't it? Like, nicest will in the world, it was at Derby, it was at Reading, it was at all of these clubs that have had these horrendous financial situations. The smoking gun is, where is the money? Yeah, and everyone's always quick to tell you where it how they've made their fortune and how they've made their millions. It's in
this, whatever that may be. Like, and they're always quick to, I started off here and I did this and I've done that and I'm self-made millionaire or whatever it is. But again, we just don't really seem to know about it. And I just find it really, really, when you actually think about it, I find it really bizarre. And I think as a fan base, I think we've probably turned a bit of a blind eye to it, really, because we've just been thinking, well, they got paid. Oh, we've signed this player. Oh, we've beat Peterborough. We've got back to the, we beat Bouncy. We've got back to the Championship. Oh, everything's all looking all rosy. We brought Danny Rowe in. He must cost a little bit. We just kind of think we've just been happy to just be on the little bit of a ride or the journey. I mean, I say happy, like I don't think we have been that particularly happy, but every time something's gone all right and been, a bit of good news, we've been very quick. And I say we as a collective. I know we've been banging that drum for a long, long time on this podcast, but as a collective fan base, we've been very quick to just forget about all these other things that have been happening because, we don't want to to impact the players on the pitch. We don't want to upset Chansiri, so he definitely pulls the plug. As it happens, we didn't need to do that. He just did it himself. He just ran out of money before he could pull it. So yeah, it is certainly a question that I don't think we'll ever find the answer, to be honest. Like, I really don't. I know the trust are going to come out with something at some point. I'm not privy to what that is. I have no idea. Obviously, I'll be as eagerly awaiting that as well as everyone else is, to be fair. Go on.
No, sorry, James. I was just going to say, just after the pod that you did with James from the Trust, who was talking about the money section from the fans forum that they recently did, that for me was the most interesting part of that fans forum. I really appreciated ex-managers, ex-players, Simon coming out and speaking about kind of issues surrounding the football club. But that was stuff that we knew. Ian as well obviously gave a very impassioned speech, but that was all stuff that was relatively public information-ish. The money is always where the problem is with these, with people like Deshpon Chansiri. The money is always the root of where you're going to get your smoking gun or you're going to get whatever it is that you need. Find that, you find the solution, in my opinion.
Yep, 100% agree. Daz, thank you very much. Daz has just said he's just ordered the T-shirt. Brilliant. Oh, you've got it in the lovely blue colour that I'm wearing at the moment. A reminder, condemned, use the code to get if you want the North Stand T-shirt that I am wearing. If you're listening on audio only, it looks fantastic. Let's get on to Milan Mandaric then, because just because this whole scenario, it almost felt like was that guy that was on the run and then fucking Gaza turned up.
Raul.
It felt very much like that. Like the situation's like
such a weird analogy.
The situation is how it is, and then let's just wheel Milan Mandaric out and get him in. What I mean is, it was so. I just didn't expect it.
100% is so left field, isn't it?
Like, I just did not expect of all the people. Like, if you gave me a list of people that are going to be interested in Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, I could be talking for I don't know 5 hours, and I would still not get to Milan Mandaric. I mean, I just never thought that 80. Is he 86 or is he 87? That was kind of the debate on the debate show. How old is Milan Mandaric? Let's say he's 86, but 86-year-old man, former chairman of the club.
He's nearly 87, James. Sorry, James, just to cut in from the debate show in the week, we had 85, 86, but nearly 87.
Well, whatever. In his 80s, mid-80s, I'll stick with that one. For him to come out and start talking and saying that he's going to be flying over to the UK to meet with, he didn't say Deshpon himself. He said for people from the club to talk to them and potentially speak to Deshpon and see if he could help the situation, which, I just didn't expect it, Matt. I'll be perfectly honest.
Paul Aldridge was one of the names that he mentioned, who is his financial director at, please correct me if I'm wrong, James, at Portsmouth, Leicester, and now at Wednesday.
Right.
I'm torn, if I'm honest, about Mandaric, because I have an overriding question of why now. Because we've been here before from a financial perspective in COVID. We've been with points deductions. We've been unable to meet demands of players. If you've kept even a passing eye on Sheffield Wednesday, and you would like to think an ex-owner of a football club has got a somewhat vested interest in the team that they once owned and the 20-odd thousand fans who have graciously stood and applauded him off the pitch before a game where the pitch was looking like a beach. My God, if people think it's bad now, do you remember back then? You will know that it's been this bad for a long, long time, and what's been happening to use Mandaric's words, my club. It's all right playing the knight in shining armor card, but where were you? Even let's remove the last 4 or 5 years. Where were you 2-3 months ago when all of this has happened? It's been well publicised. It's been well documented. It's been really well documented that Chansiri is the sticking point, that nobody can deal with him, that nobody can actually get into a room with him. Might have been helpful before for you to come and perhaps either, if depending on what his motivations are for when he comes back in, and he's flying into London on Monday, was I think what he'd said, to meet with representatives from the club. I don't know what he's going to do, because I don't know whether that's going to be with a view to buy it himself. I don't know whether that's going to be a view to team up with any of the rumoured consortiums that are around, whether that's going to be to team up with the consortium that we know who have put in 2 bids for the football club, all of which would make very, very plausible sense, all of them. But why now? Why now? Because, James, and I mean this very nicely, whilst I will forever be grateful to Milan Mandaric for buying us from the brink and saving us from the dead, I'm not stupid enough to think that this is not just a potential another opportunity to make some money. Because Mandaric was very honest, if you read between the lines, when he first owned us, that is what this was for. Yes, I want to save a wonderfully well-established football club, but I am also going to get paid out of this, which, to be fair, then and now, I don't have a problem with. I just want to know why now, because this could have been done years ago and you could have saved yourself an awful lot of hassle and money.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't understand kind of what he's going to do. Like, has he already got this consortium, like you mentioned, has he already got it in the background already, ready and primed and ready to go, ready to take over? I don't think he's going to have the money himself. I mean, I don't know for certain, but maybe he has. I have no idea whether he's got the money himself. I mean, the fact that he was talking about kind of letting him off with 10 million probably tells me that he hasn't really got. Do you know what I mean? If you've got enough money to buy the football club outright, you're not really bothered about just the 10 million for getting into the Premier League.
I think, the other thing is, James, just on that, just to add some weight to that, if you do have that type of money, I think one of the other things is with Mandaric as well, he is a very sensible businessman. Like, he might not necessarily sell clubs to the right people or whatever, or, because I know I saw a load of people going, well, he sold us to Chansiri and look at the shitstorm that we've gone. No, he was very open about the fact that he didn't have the money to continue to sustain it or to take it to the next level, and he needed out. He was very similar I think it was Portsmouth as well, and I think it was Leicester as well. So he's always very honest, which is one of the reasons why, as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, even if there are certain things that I don't like, I didn't like the fact that we were only able to pay 250 grand for players.
It's probably like the Sam Allardyce of chairman, isn't it?
I like, it's black and white, like it's there for you. I can tell you exactly why I'm doing it. And open dialogue and communication with fans, in my opinion, is the most important thing as an owner, aside from bankrolling it, because we are the people who are constantly coming back. Because if you piss off your customer base in this particular thing, huge issues.
Yeah, and I'm under no illusion that he's trying to make a quid. And I think some fans need to just put that to one. Like, people do stuff to earn money. There's not many people that do things for free. And I know there's people out there that will volunteer and do all that sort of stuff. And, forever grateful for people that do, give up their hard-earned time to do all these stuff. But a lot of people do things, and there's an ulterior motive behind that, and it is to make a quick quid. And he obviously clearly sees an opportunity here to get involved, to do something about it. And I mean, look, again, as I mentioned last week, I mentioned it in midweek, I think, on the debate show, I have got to that stage where I am pretty much like anyone but Chansiri. Like, that is the point where I'm at. I'm like, surely it cannot be as bad, even if it's just in the interim, even if it's someone that has come in and just literally just pay the bills, like literally paying the staff. You are an improvement on what we have currently got. pay the staff and just listen to the fans a little bit and just do 2 or 3 things that we say that we're a bit pissed off about, and we'll be forever grateful. And then and then move on, and just don't leave us in as much shit as what we're currently in at the moment. If you can, do you know what I mean? Like, because we're just, there's loads of things that are unanswered at the moment. Again, with 40 odd days until the start of the season, there's no pre-season announced. We've no idea who's going to turn up for training. We don't know who they're going to, who's going to pay them. Even like other stuff that, stuff like the kit. Like, what's this kit going to look like? What's the kit going to be like? That clearly the money's not there. Do you know what I mean? That money that people have paid for the kit, I hope has already been paid to Macron to make said kit for all those people that have bought it. Because we're in a situation now where they're probably not going to get that kit that they bought. Like, and you yourself, you're one of those that have bought it. And again, that's probably a really, a small subject in the whole grand scheme of things. Yes, George.
Sorry, James, I've just highlighted that one from George Dixon. Finally, the kit's been mentioned. One thing that I did just want to address, James, as well, because I know there was a lot of conversation that was going off in the chat as well whilst we were discussing Milan Mandaric. Just to be clear here, for people who were thinking that maybe it was a bit of kind of like summation or trying to fill in gaps or bits and pieces, that's all that we're going to be able to do because that's the information that's out there at the minute. My line of questioning for Milan Mandaric in there was nowhere near as brutal as it was going to be or will be in the future for potentially Adam Shaw, who is well aware of that as well. I think these are the questions that going forward as a Sheffield Wednesday fan, personally, I think we should be asking and should be not necessarily demanding answers to, but it should be an open conversation amongst fans. Like it should be, because of, if you're not learning from past experiences of what we've had over the last, say, 8 years, let's count the first 2 years as good. I'm not saying you treat everything as everything's going to be negative. You realise that actually with a good owner, some is going to be good, some decisions you're not going to agree with, but actually the one thing that you want is transparency.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Big Artie Shaw's been on fire this evening. He says, Doris, the tea lady's pension matures and she's going to put a bid in.
Go on, Doris.
Like I've said, we are going to get Doris on the show. Doris, if you're listening and you are the tea lady, do get in touch and I'll wheel Matt out to do a fantastic interview with you at some point.
I'd be thrilled to talk to Doris.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, a lot of people have been pinning their hopes on Milan Mandaric being the saviour. I've seen so many pictures of him dressed as Superman. AI, obviously.
AI's gone mental this week with that.
Yeah, there's so many of those. Obviously, he did come in to save the day. Last time, saved us from the brink. Paid the tax bill that needed to be paid at the 11th hour, of course. Yeah, a lot of people are seeing him as the saviour, aren't they?
They are, James. And just before I come on to cover that incredibly serious point here, Bob Hull has put, Mandaric says he loved the club. I love my kids, but I'm only selling them to someone who will look after them properly. I thought that was a belter. Yes, and I can understand it, James, because ultimately I have always, and I think I will forever be very, very grateful to Milan Mandaric and what he did, irrespective of kind of the situation that's happened post. That's not his fault. His fault is not the decisions that Dejphon Chansiri has made or the things that he has said to him and what's kind of subsequently happened. That's not, for me, that's not the issue here. In this case, he could be. In this case, he could save the football club from potentially real financial brink of destruction and all the rest of it. I was very interested in the discussions. In obviously the post that we received from Adam, which was to kind of obviously get stuff out to a wider Sheffield Wednesday fan base surrounding Milan Mandaric as well. Why I don't see any negative to potentially, if you are an interested party or a consortium, if you're Mandaric or that consortium, I don't see a negative to sitting down and having a chat. I don't see a negative to sitting down and discussing the prospect of, is this something we want to work on together? Is this something that you want to do separately? Because as you said, James, Mandaric is flying into London to meet with representatives of the club, not anybody else. He's not meeting with Chansiri specifically. He's meeting with his old friends who he worked with for many, many years, which was pretty much the kind of like what he was saying about who he was meeting to find out what's going on. Now, that doesn't strike me as I've got a load of people lined up. And I might be really wrong here. I might be, and I'm happy to hold my hands up if I am. But I think if you are a consortium that is going around Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, and we have heard of a number of different rumoured ones, you stand to lose absolutely nothing by taking a meeting with Milan Mandaric to find out what can we do, what is your interest, what can we work together.
Milan Mandaric has got something that I'd like to think that the Florida Consortium haven't got, which is a relationship with the current owner of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. Do you know what I mean? He's the one that sold it to him. So, from that point of view, I don't know if they still keep in touch, Milan Mandaric and Dejphon Chansiri, over the past 10 years. I have absolutely no idea. But he has spoken to him. He has spoken to him in the past. Clearly, he's speaking with people at the football club, which might have a bit of weight behind it. They might be able to go to Chansiri and actually, convince him that this is the right thing to do, or whatever the right thing to do may be, according to Milan Mandaric. So, I think them talking, banging their heads together and trying to sort something out. He's obviously it is good for the football club in that regard. So
100%.
Yeah. I think we're going to wrap things up there because we've spoke a hell of a lot about far too many things. Jacob, I'll probably answer a few comments whilst we've got a bit of time left. Jacob says, "Is the takeover happening?" If you haven't been here from the start, obviously Adam Shaw has said that the Florida Consortium are speaking to lawyers which represent the Chansiri family. Now, I stress it is just the Chansiri family, nothing to do with Dejphon Chansiri or the club as per se. Just going back, I don't know anything else other than what has been said, but it's Chansiri's family was clearly mentioned. That was clearly put there for a point, that's who he's.
I'm just going to highlight one here, James, while you're also looking. James Saville has come very, very close here. It's between Shaw Yank Redemption and Consortium. I like both, I'll be honest with you. James, that's a belter as well.
Yeah, that's good. Dave says, like he convinced him of the Premier League dream. Look, to be fair, we very, very nearly got there, didn't we? We were 90 minutes away from getting to the promised land. And Matt, do you ever look back and go, what if?
No, too painful. No, I don't. The reason why I don't, James, and the reason why I suppose I do slightly disagree with that comment is from a on-field perspective, had it been, I suppose, a slower acceleration of success, because we achieved quote-unquote success, top six, playoff final, inside of 12 months, basically, of Chansiri taking full ownership of the football club. Had that happened over 2 years, you just miss out on playoffs, then you finish in playoffs, then you get to playoff final and you lose at Wembley, then you lose in the semi-final, blah, blah, blah. We had such a stable footing of a football club. It was a good manager in place in terms of Stuart Gray, a squad that was very, very try-hard, let's be kind, very, very try-hard, but lacking real quality. Lewis McGugan provided a lot of quality in that season, and I think there was Lloyd Isgrove as well. Do you remember him? Atty Newey away at Watford, Chris Maguire. But we had the nucleus of a very, very good squad. I don't think that it was anywhere near as bad as the current situation is. For my money, in my lifetime, this is the worst situation that Sheffield Wednesday has been in, apart from being half an hour away from being out of business. The club, in terms of actually the structure surrounding it, is far lower than then. It's just not got the administrators knocking at the door. It is really, really difficult. I think it's just... I'm just giving my personal opinion here. I think it is a real challenge for whoever on earth it is that comes in.
Yeah, there's one user in the comments that's just been asking for about the last 5 minutes. Is the Adam Shaw interview still going to take place? Yes, it is at some point. Just go and read the Twitter post that we put out. So it is still on the table, but as mentioned in that in the comments that Adam Shaw mentioned, Milan Mandaric coming out has changed the landscape somewhat. Yeah. So, and obviously wants to give some honest answers. So, yeah.
Another name here for you from Acquire EFC, Better Call Shaw. That's not bad. I don't mind it, but it's still not beating those two from earlier today. No, sadly not. But yeah, it's again, it's as we've said, James, before. This is a big week for Sheffield Wednesday coming up in it. Like this is a huge week.
Yeah. Just all the things that are going to be happening. In the next 7 days with the tax bills, potentially some news. Maybe I'm sure that Rob will obviously be speaking to Milan Mandaric. Rob being Rob Staten on Radio Sheffield. He'll be trying to get. He came out publicly and said he will be speaking to people from the club next week. So I think it's in Rob's best interest to go back to Milan Mandaric and say, so what did you say and what's been said? We want to know. We want to know what who you've been speaking to, what you discussed, obviously, and try and get as much information out of him as possible, whether that's been positive or not, or indeed just what his intention is going to be. There's all the stuff with Adam Shaw and the Florida Consortium as well. I know players aren't due, but they are due back if officially. It's not, not. I'm sure. Again, we'll be trying to find out whether that is going to be now next week instead of this week, because that's going to be really interesting to see who actually turns up, if anyone. And obviously, payment of wages again, which I believe will probably be this Friday coming up. I guess being the last Friday of the month. So, it is a huge week. Yeah.
Just two before we finish, James. Jacob has asked surrounding the fundraising efforts for staff that you put together. I'll let you obviously talk on that a little bit, because I know you did. Did you touch on it on the debate show, obviously in midweek?
Yeah. So I did a GoFundMe. £4,340 has been raised, which is absolutely phenomenal, and a massive thanks to everyone that did actually put money into the pot. Really, just really generous from everyone. A few things on that. Firstly, I think there's been. I spoke to someone at the club, and they said that the staff were just so made up that the people would actually put their hand in the pocket to actually donate to this. And I do believe that the line from the club is that everyone that needed money did get that money. So let's just hope that that was the case. That anyone that did need it came forward and actually got the money that they deserved. I think obviously I set this up because I wanted to show solidarity between the fans and the club, that we do actually care about the staff, that they're the heartbeat of the football club, not to use that that cliche that people always use, but they are they're the people that get forgotten about sometimes, I guess. For most people, everyone thinks about Barry Bannon and Jenny Gassama and all the players on the pitch, but it's all the people behind the scenes that kind of make it work. And they were really grateful that something like this had been set up. However, probably put the club in a bit of a difficult situation, because if they accepted the money, they were seen to be needing the money. And if they didn't accept it, then it was being a little bit disrespectful. But look, they put themselves in that situation, so that's where that is. I did say as well, if the situation did get resolved, that the money would be donated to the Sheffield Children's Hospital, and the club did send an email back to myself again, thanking everyone for the generosity, but they were going to decline the money and for it to be passed on to a charity, which I said I've already picked the Children's Hospital. So I spoke with the Children's Hospital. They've agreed to it. Look, if anyone's going to GoFundMe, the idea is that you should set the charity at the start when you set it up, and then the money will just go straight to them. However, obviously that wasn't the intention when it first started, so it's a little bit more difficult. But they have been in touch. I have added them as a beneficiary, so they're going to be they're going to receiving nearly £4,500 to the charity. So I think that's a good news story all around, and they'll let me know when I get a nice little certificate for sorting that. But a massive thanks to everyone that's donated to it. Really appreciate.
Yeah, which is just, again, it just goes to show the feeling of support that I think so many people felt so desperate for the situation that was going on with, as you say, those ordinary members of kind of club staff who can't absolve, nicest will in the world, can't absolve a late payment of salary.
So yeah, it was just I just wanted you to highlight it, James, because I just thought it was a nice news story that's come out of Sheffield Wednesday this week.
Yeah, there's another one from Alex that you'd highlighted. Alex Wall. Remember a month ago we were linked with Jamie Vardy, £7,000 a week. Bet he can't wait to get started.
Yeah, I thought that was worth highlighting.
That won't even pay for his Red Bull allocation a week. To be fair, so dear. Man. Anyway, let's wrap things up. Massive thanks everyone for listening. If it's your first time around here, I think that those numbers are pretty high. So I'm sure there's some people that have not listened to us before. I did actually see some comments further up that said, first time watching. Yeah. Sorry, it's not all been good news. I hope some good news, like I said at the top, is on the horizon, and things are happening. Things are talking. People are talking. Milan's come out. Adam Shaw, obviously, saying what he's been saying today about the lawyers and stuff like that. Things are starting to happen. And one thing is, we are a lot further forward in terms of stuff happening than we were before, and so that again, that's got to be a positive. If you want to hear more of us, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/WTID pod. Just give us 10 minutes or so, and we'll be on extra time where we're talking about realistic season prediction, given all that's been happening at the moment. Like I said earlier, it's easy to say that we're going to get relegated with the worst points tally that the league's ever seen. But is that really the case? Let's have a look at the squad that we've currently got. What's it going to be like? We talked about morale and stuff like that. We're going to be talking all about those sorts of things on extra time. So if you want to hear us talk about actual players for once, then head over there. All the links once you sign up to Patreon, all the links are there, so you can go and find it and you can join in again. So massive thanks everyone. I'm going to pick up this yellow tie that I've chucked over there somewhere and put it in the bin where it should go before I get told off. But no, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers.